the greatest luminaries of the time.
Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Up, India's voice to the world. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. Coming up in the next hour, US halts weapons delivery to Israel, but Israeli military appears to play down the arms shipment hold-up. 8 trucks line up on the Egyptian side of the Gaza border crossing. Russia's President Vladimir Putin opens the Eurasian Economic Union Summit. It's his first international meeting in his new 5th presidential term. It's the hottest April on record. European Union's climate monitor says worldwide temperatures have steadily been rising for 11 months now. And thousands gather in the French port city of Marseille to welcome the Olympic torch. It will travel 12,000 kilometers across France and its overseas territories on its way to Paris for the opening ceremony. Israel's military continued its operations in Rafa days after taking over control of a border crossing between Gaza and Egypt. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that military pressure is still needed to return the hostages. But Hamas issued a stern warning, saying that no ceasefire deal will be entertained while Israeli military operations continue in Rafa.
There seems to be no end to the ongoing Israel-Gaza conflict as Israeli military continues to operate in Gaza Strip's Rafah city a day after overtaking ground control. Earlier on Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterated that military pressure is still needed to return the hostages.
Last night, I ordered, with the approval of War Cabinet, to operate in Rafah. Within hours, our forces raised the Israeli flag at the Rafah crossing and took down the Hamas flags. The entrance to Rafah serves 2 main war goals: the return of our abductees and the elimination of Hamas. We have already proven in the previous release of the hostages. Military pressure on Hamas is a necessary condition for the return of our hostages.
However, Hamas has issued a stern warning stating that no ceasefire deal will be entertained while Israeli military operations continue in Rafah. This declaration comes amidst ongoing ceasefire negotiations in Cairo, where a Hamas delegation is engaged in discussions. Meanwhile, Israel claimed unmatched coordination between allies after reports came that US has paused a shipment of weapons to the country.
The security assistance of the United States since the beginning of the war is of unprecedented scale. I think in the history of the State of Israel, alongside this, there is something more important than security assistance, which is the operational assistance. The partnership of the IDF with the American Central Command, CENTCOM, is of unprecedented operational scale.
שיש מחלוקות ויש, הן נפתרות בחדרים סגורים באופן ענייני.
As the conflict-struck Gaza awaits humanitarian help, United Nations aid officials warned about the humanitarian implications a closure of the Rafah border crossing would have.
Health will be increased, will be impacted by the increased military activities in Rafah, and we unfortunately expect that 3 of the main hospitals the 3 remaining hospitals in Rafah will become inoperable in the coming hours if the operations continue, depriving 1.2 million people of health care.
Israel reopened Kerem Shalom crossing for the entry of aid. Israel said that 8 trucks from Egypt are already arriving at the crossing, adding that the Erez crossing is also continuing to operate to facilitate the entry of humanitarian aid into Gaza.
Russia's President Vladimir Putin opened the Eurasian Economic Union Summit in Moscow on Wednesday. It was his first international meeting in his new fifth presidential term. Leaders of Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan also took part in the summit. The current session of the EAEU takes place in the run-up to the 10th anniversary of the Union. A relevant treaty was signed by the parties on 29th of May in 2014 at Astana in Kazakhstan. And Dasha Chernyshova joins us from Moscow. Dasha, now that Putin has been inaugurated for a new fifth term, all eyes are on his government. Will Putin retain his old guard comprising the likes of Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, or will he bring in new faces?
Well, that's certainly the intrigue. We are still to find out whether the cabinet reshuffles will be taking place or not. Now, the expectation is that the Russian president will first nominate the prime minister, and the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said clearly that Vladimir Putin can do that at any time when he sees that appropriate. Now, the understanding among the Russians and the political scientists here is that Mikhail Mishustin, the former prime minister, whose government has just resigned, will regain his position and will once again become the prime minister of the country. Now, the procedure suggests that after the nomination by the Russian president, he will be presented to the State Duma, where he will be given time to talk to the different fractions of the Russian State Duma, and will have several questions from them. This is when, after which the prime minister will be approved, and then the cabinet will be established. Speaking about the personalities, it is not expected that Russia will be taking any major shakeups, especially at a time that Russia is facing so many challenges. However, there have been several possibilities where those changes could be taking place, and obviously all eyes are on the top positions, including the Foreign Ministry and the Defense Ministry.
Also, Dasha, talk to us a bit, if you will, about the Eurasian Economic Union Summit. What was on its agenda and any outcomes?
Well, to this moment, we have seen the narrow meeting of the leaders of the Eurasian Economic Union states having their negotiations in Moscow. It is the Jubilee Summit since 10 years after the Eurasian Economic Union has been established. And the Russian president stressed that it is a dynamic and efficiently developing structure, the integrational union of the country. And he praised the role that the Eurasian Economic Union is playing for the stable economic development of all member states. He said it is helping for the investment exchanges as well as the trade increase among the member states. He said that over the past 10 years, the joint GDP of all states within the Eurasian Economic Union has increased from 1.6 to 2.5 trillion US dollars. He also said that the trade turnover between the member states of the Eurasian Economic Union with other countries has increased by 60%, from 579 to 923 billion US dollars. So these are significant numbers, and the idea that the Russian president is putting forward is that the development of the Eurasian Economic Union is in the interest of every member state, because this is helping those countries develop. And also he noted that most of the trade exchanges among the member states is taking place in the national currencies, something that is very important for Russia in the current circumstance.
Dasha, thank you. Much appreciated. Now, Russia warned NATO against sending troops to Ukraine, saying that such a move would be dangerous. This, as Moscow said, it was closely watching a Ukrainian petition posted on the country's president's website, which says that Kiev should ask the US, the UK and other countries to send their troops to help repel Russia's invasion. Moscow has said that it would target French soldiers if they enter the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Russia claims that a growing number of French nationals are among those killed in Ukraine.
It
is notable that Macron himself explains this rhetoric as a desire to create some kind of strategic uncertainty for Russia. We have to disappoint him. For us, the situation looks more than certain. We have also made up our minds a long time ago. If the French appear in the conflict zone, they will inevitably become targets for Russian armed forces.
Russia criticized Germany for baseless hacker claims, warning of worsening ties over Berlin's decision to withdraw its ambassador from Moscow. Germany accused Russia of cyber attacks on its defense, aerospace and the ruling party. Russia's foreign ministry said that Germany is using baseless myths about Russian hackers to escalate tensions with no evidence whatsoever.
Berlin regularly uses the myth about alleged Russian hackers' malicious actions in Germany. This is done to escalate tensions in the bilateral relations. The withdrawal of the German ambassador from Moscow is nothing more than another unfriendly step aimed at fueling anti-Russian sentiments in Germany.
Right, moving on, China and Serbia agreed to follow a shared future as President Xi Jinping visited the Balkan country on Wednesday. The two countries signed 29 agreements promoting legal, regulatory and economic cooperation. Both leaders spoke about having an ironclad partnership and said that they would support each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Serbia became the first European country to sign a free trade agreement with China in years.
The Republic of Serbia and the People's Republic of China are moving from strategic relations to which we managed to elevate our bilateral relations. We are transitioning to a community that talks about the shared future of our two countries. This is the highest level of cooperation between two countries and I am proud of that. Today, as the President of Republic of Serbia, I could sign such an agreement with President Xi.
Scottish National Party stalwart John Sweeney assumed office as Scotland's First Minister on Wednesday, becoming the sole candidate in the race to replace Hamza Yusuf following his resignation. Yusuf, who made history as the first Muslim to lead a democratic Western European nation in 2023, stepped down last week after a fallout with the dissolving coalition with the Green Party in the Scottish Parliament, prompting a search for his replacement. India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar addressed students at Gargi College in New Delhi. He spoke about India as a Vishwa Bandhu, which is Hindi for a friend of the world. The minister also spoke about why India is liked and respected globally.
You have to get the governments of those countries to cooperate with you so that when people came out, their exit could be very smooth. So this is, in a way, how a Vishwa Bandhu foreign policy works in real life, which is we had to continuously actually keep talking to Russia, keep talking to Ukraine. We contacted the 5 countries which were neighboring there, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania and Moldova. To ensure that the facilities were set up, we actually sent in each of these cases a minister and said, you will stay there, you will, it's your responsibility till the last student comes home.
Maldives' Foreign Minister Musa Zamir on Wednesday arrived in India on a 2-day visit. During the visit, Minister Zamir will meet with India's Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar. He will hold discussions on bilateral and regional issues and seek ways to provide impetus to both countries' multifaceted relationship. Still to come on DD India News Hour. The latest on India's parliamentary election, 4th phase of polling to be held on 13th May. And thousands stranded at 4 airports in the southern Indian state of Kerala after Air India Express cancels flights.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders. Hype versus facts. In-depth news and analysis with experts who will help you decide why this election matters. DD India is the main election headquarters with numbers most accurate, data most reliable, and viewership across the platforms. Stay tuned to the Great Indian Election only on weekdays at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT.
We just don't bring you the news as it unfolds. We get to the heart of the matter.
We don't just present facts, we demystify complex social, political and economic events.
We break stories that shape the world's present and future because you deserve the truth.
I am Tanvi Taneja from New Delhi.
I'm Ollie Barrett from London.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. A quick recap of the headlines. The US halts weapons delivery to Israel, but Israeli military appears to play down the arms shipment hold-up. 8 trucks line up on the Egyptian side of the Gaza border crossing. It's the hottest April on record. European Union's climate monitor says worldwide temperatures have steadily been rising for 11 months now. And thousands gather in the French port city of Marseille to welcome the Olympic torch. It will travel 12,000 kilometers across France and its overseas territories on its way to Paris for the opening ceremony. Campaigning for the fourth phase of India's election is in full swing in spite of a scorching heat.
Indian political arena heats up as key leaders from both the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress trade barbs in the lead up to the ongoing Lok Sabha elections. The campaigning for the fourth phase of the election is underway. Prime Minister Narendra Modi held poll rallies in the state of Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Prime Minister addressed public gathering at Karimnagar, Warangal and Rajampet. He targets Congress questioning their financial ties and accusing them of appeasement politics.
जनता जनार्दन के आशीर्वाद से बीजेपी और एनडीए तेजी से विजय रथ को आगे ले जा रही है। कांग्रेस की हार यहां इतनी पक्की है कि बहुत मुश्किल से वो किसी को चुनाव लड़ने के लिए मना पाई और बीआरएस का यहां कोई अता पता ही नहीं है।
Senior BJP leader and Home Minister Amit Shah attended public meetings in Uttar Pradesh's Lakhimpur Kheri, Hardoi and Kannauj.
राहुल बाबा की स्थिति ये है कि राहुल बाबा अमेठी थे वायनाड गए, वायनाड से रायबरेली गए। मैं बताता हूं राहुल बाबा, रायबरेली में भी आप फाड़ने वालों हो, आपके लिए अब एक ही जगह है, रायबरेली से सीधा इटाली जाकर स्थिर हो जाओ।
Whereas BJP National President JP Nadda also held poll rallies in the city of Himachal Pradesh's Mandi and Bilaspur. Opposition is also not leaving any stone unturned to woo voters. In the eastern state of West Bengal, TMC National General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee held a roadshow in support of party candidate Yusuf Pathan from Berhampur Lok Sabha constituency. Moving up north, JNK National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah campaigned in Pulwama. Congress leader Priyanka Gandhi also campaigned in Uttar Pradesh's Raebareli.
आपका वोट अपने गांव में बिजली, पानी, सड़क, शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य की सुविधाओं के लिए जाना चाहिए। आपका वोट आपके जो अधिकार है उनको मजबूत बनाने के लिए जाना चाहिए।
Samajwadi Party Chief Akhilesh Yadav addressed public meetings in Uttar Pradesh's Shahjahanpur and Hardoi. Addressing the people, Akhilesh Yadav said, Samajwadi Party is in direct contest with BJP.
संविधान बचाने के लिए, लोकतंत्र बचाने के लिए कोई भी अपना वोट खराब न करें। भारतीय जनता पार्टी से सीधा मुकाबला समाजवादी लोग कर रहे हैं।
In other developments, Bahujan Samaj Party Supremo Mayawati on Tuesday removed her nephew Akash Anand as a successor. She said she sacked Anand from key party posts until he becomes politically mature. Fourth phase polls are scheduled to take place on May 13. Tripti Tripathi, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday held a massive roadshow in Vijayawada in support of the NDA candidates for Andhra Pradesh Assembly and Lok Sabha elections. Telugu Desam Party President N. Chandrababu Naidu and Janasena Party President Pavan Kalyan were present at the roadshow. Candidates have intensified their campaign for the fourth phase of India's parliamentary election. Now, polling will be held for 96 seats on the 13th of May. More than 1,700 candidates are in the fray. Voters in all 25 seats of Andhra Pradesh and 17 constituencies of Telangana will exercise their franchise. Polling will also take place in a number of other states and union territories as well. Right, joining me are two of my colleagues who are covering the elections from various states. With me now is Debyendu Mondal, who is in West Bengal, and Amit Mukherjee is in Madhya Pradesh. To you first, Debyendu, how's the campaigning coming along for the fourth phase of election in West Bengal? Any key contests to watch out for?
Well, good evening, Ramesh. I just landed in Bengal a couple of hours back, and the heat, the climatic heat and the political heat are both turning up here in West Bengal as usual has been the case for the state of West Bengal, where the political heat every election has been going up ever since the 2011 elections, the assembly elections here in Bengal. So, of course, there are about 9 Lok Sabha seats which are going to polls here in West Bengal in this particular phase. Some of the key seats which we will keep a look at would be the Baharampur constituency, where Trinamool Congress has fielded former cricketer Yusuf Pathan against the Congress's Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. Baharampur has been a bastion of the Congress for a very long time. So the Trinamool Congress wants to breach that Congress's bastion and hopes that cricketer Yusuf Pathan would be able to defeat Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who had also been the leader of opposition in the lower house of the Indian Parliament. Apart from this, the Krishnanagar constituency will also be keenly watched, not just by us but all political leaders, for the fact that it is being contested by the Trinamool Congress's Mahua Moitro, and the BJP has fielded the Queen or the Ranima of Krishnanagar, Amrita Roy, who will contest it out against Mahua Moitro. Apart from this, the BJP's former national president Dilip Ghosh will be fighting it out against the Trinamool Congress's Kirti Azad in the Bardhaman Purva seat here in West Bengal. The Birbhum seat will also be a very interesting contest because of the fact that it had been a very stronghold of the Trinamool Congress, and the strongman, the muscle man of Trinamool Congress is currently in jail related to the scams of cattle smuggling as well as coal smuggling. So, of course, Bengal has been always a very important state, politically important state, keeping in mind the violence, the political developments we keep seeing from here in this state of West Bengal. Back to you, Ramesh.
Right, going across to Amit Mukherjee in Madhya Pradesh. Amit, what more can you tell us about the 8 seats that will go to the polls on the 13th of May?
Yes, Ramesh, very interesting scenario out here in Madhya Pradesh. Now we have already seen polling happening in 21 of the 29 Madhya Pradesh Lok Sabha constituencies. Now these remaining 8 constituencies are a mixed bag of, from the tribal belt as well as, urban Madhya Pradesh, urban population of Madhya Pradesh. Now, if you look at the constituencies, primarily we have Ujjain, Indore, and Mandsaur, which are which have been very, very strongholds of BJP in the past elections. Now, again, to counter that, there is also, along with that, I would say, there are also elections that are happening in the tribal belts of Ratlam, Dhar, and Jhabua, all those districts. Having said that, I would like to point out that, see, in the last Lok Sabha election, BJP has done well in the tribal belts. They have hold on to the seats. But definitely it has become a challenge post the assembly elections which had happened, last year. So BJP would be eyeing all these tribal constituencies. They are putting in all their efforts and trying to consolidate their position out there. In any case, Indore, Ujjain and Mandsaur, these have been the strongholds where BJP would, they are absolutely sure of doing extremely well. Now also this particular phase where 8 constituencies are going to poll becomes very, very significant because, all the heavyweights, if you look at the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, he belongs to this region. Even the Deputy Prime Minister Mahendra Shukla, he's also from this particular, he belongs to this 8 constituency region. Also the opposition of Congress, the leader of opposition of Congress, Jitu Patwari, he's also from this area. And definitely it's going to be a very, very, tough fight as far as the tribal area is concerned, where BJP is putting its main focus on. And definitely all these areas, Ujjain, Indore, they are quite comfortable about it. And in fact, if you know what had happened in Indore, the Congress candidate at the last moment had switched his party and he joined BJP. And in fact, Congress is left without a candidate out here in Indore. Ramesh?
All right, we leave it at that. Amit Mukherjee in Madhya Pradesh and Debyendu Mondal in West Bengal. Thank you for now. Appreciate it. Right, moving on. Sam Pitroda of the Congress Party has stepped down as the chairperson of the Indian Overseas Congress. Pitroda had been under fire over his allegedly racist comments about Indian nationals. The BJP had hit out at the Congress over Pitroda's remarks and turned them racist and divisive. Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself said that Congress leaders have divisive thoughts. That's why they refuse to consider it one country and instead indulge in divisive talk. In some more news from South Asia, Air India Express flights were cancelled in the southern Indian state of Kerala after the airline's cabin crew went on medical leave en masse. The Air India Express flights to Sharjah, Bahrain, Dammam and Muscat have been cancelled.
I was to travel to Sharjah by Air India Express flight yesterday night at 10:30 p.m. We passengers got boarding pass and we were waiting for the flight when there was an announcement saying that the flight was late, then announced that the time changed to 12:45 and then said it would be at 1 a.m. and after that came the message that the flight was cancelled.
We were to travel by the Sharjah flight at 10:40 p.m. We arrived at the airport at 5:30 p.m. After completing formalities, got entry at 7:40 p.m. We were waiting and at 10:40 p.m. the scheduled time of the flight, they said the flight will be delayed by 2 hours.
Floods are a perennial problem for the northeastern Indian state of Assam. With the onset of thunderstorms and heavy rains in some parts of the state, some houses on the Mohan Ghat bank of Dibrugarh were gobbled up by the Brahmaputra river. Shubina Roy reports on why Dibrugarh faces the twin threats of floods and erosion.
Of Dibrugarh in the Indian border state of Assam are again overwhelmed with fear as recent heavy rains and massive erosion in Brahmaputra gobbled up few houses in the Mohanaghat area of Dibrugarh. An interplay of many factors has contributed to flooding in the district. Dibrugarh is a mix of floodplains, lakes, swamps, sandbars and highlands. The location of the district is such that it remains exposed to mainstream flooding from the Brahmaputra river, tributary flooding from both Maijan Bill, a lake located north of the city, and the Buridihing Muk river to the south of the city, and local flooding from heavy rains.
बहुत आगे था माटी तो अभी एक रात में आधा चला गया, फिर सुबह में चला गया, फिर शाम में चला गया, खत्म। नुकसान हुआ कपड़ा लता सामान बहुत टींग बांस ये सब देखो सब टूटा फूटा पड़ा है नुकसान बहुत ही हुआ
Since 1956, several preventive measures have been implemented in Dibrugarh city and the district, including the construction of land dikes, stone and timber spars. A 10-kilometer long dike from Maijan Mothola to Mohanaghat and Bogibil, and a 22-kilometer long drain crisscrossing the city. Recently, the Asian Development Bank has sanctioned monetary assistance for protection of the banks.
Actually, it has provided a loan of 700 plus crores so that we can protect the entire reach from Nagaghuli to Aithan. So this reach includes like this part also Mohanaghat area, Aithan area, in the between this one the Amoraguri area, and also the Nagaghuli area, which is the upstream of this Dibrugarh town. So if we are able to secure these areas, then I think Dibrugarh town is safe and secure.
The flood season has just started and the future of the residents staying near the banks of the Brahmaputra remain in danger as they have to grapple with the erosion and mainstream flooding of the mighty river.
With the first flush of rains happening in Assam, the Brahmaputra has already gobbled up more than 10 houses. As you can see behind my back, there were more than 10 houses, including Pakka and Kacha houses, which have been gobbled up by the recent fresh lease of rains that have been occurring in Dibrugarh. In Dibrugarh, along with the mainstream flooding of Brahmaputra, there is flooding from the tributary that comes from Maijan and also the local flooding that happens from the city. With DDK Dibrugarh, Subina Roy, TT India.
2023-2024, the Indian government successfully concluded work on 281 central government projects that are valued at more than 150 crore rupees. This achievement marks the second highest completion rate recorded in nearly a decade as per government data. IIT Madras has set up an ambitious target of incubating 100 startups for the next year with a startup once every 3 days. Speaking during a series of Triumph talks centered on the IITM Startup 100 mission, Professor Kamakoti, the director, noted that India will only become a superpower if we develop into a super hub of entrepreneurs. He said, we need to establish 100 deep core startups this year. DD News spoke exclusively with the Mindgrove team, an IIT Madras firm that created the first self-reliant, secure IoT microprocessor.
This particular device is basically targeted towards IoT, Internet of Things. We have several millions and billions of IoT devices that are coming up. Each of these IoT devices will have processors, microprocessors inside, because they have to be intelligent, they have to execute program inside it, and that essentially makes it very, very important. And today these IoT devices must also be secure, like it should not be hacked. If it is hacked, then your personal data may go out. These devices are going to be very close to your personal life. So this is a unique product which brings in security and IoT features, which will be very, very much suited for India today.
Basically, our guru gave us a mandate to say, take Shakti and make it commercial. Well, we spent an entire year studying the market to decide what to build. We knew we could build a microchip, we knew it had a massive market, but we needed to find the right market and find the right hooks into the market and find the right kind of people to guide us and to be able to sell to. So we spent a year doing that before we actually raised money and started building the chip.
India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitaraman held a telephone conversation with US Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on Wednesday. A statement from the Ministry of Finance said that the two leaders held discussions on international taxation. Still to come on DD India News Hour. Diego Maradona's Golden Ball trophy, which he won for being named the best player at the 1986 World Cup, to be auctioned.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. The world experienced the hottest April on record according to European Union's climate monitor. Since June last year, every month has been the warmest such period on record. Nupur Praveen has more.
From Dubai's desert rain to Chile's unexpected snow, the world reels under the erratic dance of extreme weather. Severe storms and tornadoes hitting parts of United States, the unforgiving floods of Brazil, the scorching heat waves in South Asia demand an explanation. Scientists have confirmed that climate change caused some specific weather extremes in April with new data from Copernicus, the European Union's climate monitoring service, revealing the world's average temperature in the last 12 months ending in April was the highest on record at 1.61 degrees Celsius above the average.
April this year was the warmest April on record globally. So considering the global average surface air temperature over the entire globe, that's the 11th month for which the temperature has been the warmest on record for the same month in all previous year for which we have data.
The impacts are felt worldwide. Heavy rainfall and thunderstorms have hit Germany and parts of United States, while most of Asia faces deadly heat waves and wildfires. The marine ecosystem in Kenya is also suffering from mass coral bleaching events. While the end of the El Nino event with typically lower temperatures, global sea surface temperatures remain high, suggesting a troubled shift in the climate system.
This is what's most puzzling, is that despite the end of the El Nino event, the sea surface temperatures, the global sea surface temperature remains so high. So I think in recent months, given all these records that we've seen tumbling in the past few months, I think many scientists have asked the question whether there could be a shift in the climate system.
Despite the agreed-upon goal of limiting warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, achieving this target is becoming increasingly challenging. Urgent action is needed to curb carbon dioxide emissions and mitigate the catastrophic consequences of the climate change.
France's President Emmanuel Macron commemorated the 79th anniversary of Allied victory over Nazi Germany and the end of World War II in Europe. Macron led a wreath and rekindled the flame at the tomb of the unknown soldier at the Arc de Triomphe in Paris before greeting war veterans. Victory in Europe Day, also known as VE Day, marks the end of the war in Europe in 1945, although fighting against Axis ally Japan continued in Asia until August. The Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multisectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation's Secretary General Indramani Pandey will be on a two-day visit to India from the 9th of May. He will visit the BIMSTEC Energy Centre in Bengaluru and have several other meetings. The BIMSTEC Secretariat in Dhaka made the announcement on its social media platform X. BIMSTEC is a group of 7 countries of the Bay of Bengal region: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Myanmar, Nepal, Sri Lanka and Thailand. India's Foreign Secretary Vinay Mohan Quatra is in Dhaka on a two-day visit to Bangladesh. In a meeting with his Bangladeshi counterpart, the Foreign Secretary will discuss the bilateral relationship. The Foreign Secretary will call on Bangladesh's Foreign Minister Dr. Hassan Mahmood and also pay a courtesy call on Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And now to all the news from the world of sport. The Olympic flame has arrived in France ahead of the official welcome ceremony, which will be led by the French President Emmanuel Macron. Some 150,000 people descended on the southern port city of Marseille to try to catch a glimpse of the torch. DD India's Ross Cullen has more.
Well, the Olympic flame has now arrived in France after making an international journey across the Mediterranean Sea from Greece. A flotilla of some 1,000 boats were there in the Bay of Marseille to welcome the flame and take part in a nautical parade. The French President Emmanuel Macron also in the port city for the arrival of the flame. Huge crowds as well lining the banks, and some 6,000 police officers on duty on Wednesday to ensure security around the site. It does now mean that over the next 79 days, the Olympic torch relay can begin in earnest, visiting hundreds of towns and villages, not just in mainland France, but also in some of France's overseas territories, like the island of Réunion in the Indian Ocean. The flame will then make its way back here to the French capital, ready in time on July the 26th for the Olympic opening ceremony. Ross Cullen in Paris, reporting for DD India.
Diego Maradona's Golden Ball trophy, which he won for being named the best player at the 1986 World Cup, will be auctioned in France next month. It's the first Golden Ball to go for auction. While its value is still to be confirmed, the auction house expects it to fetch millions of dollars. Maradona, who died in 2020, won the award after leading Argentina to World Cup victory in Mexico, scoring 5 goals in the finals, where he captained his country and played every minute of the tournament. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of DD India News Up. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. You can scan the QR code on the screens now to download it. And let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X and Instagram. You can also check out our website ddindia.co.in. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Ramesh Ramachandran. From all of us here in New Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.